Hey, ghouls and ghoulettes. In today's episode, we talked to Kim Charlson, a spirit guide channeler, mentor, and podcast host of Vessel and Voice. We talked about her journey of learning to channel and aligning herself with her soul's purpose with the help of her spirit guide, Monty. I'm Lauren Leon.
And I've been a bad boy.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition. This is episode 84 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
Oh.
Well.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
You know, we always say that. It's just like at a concert when people say, "How you doing?"
What's up, Detroit? Detroit.
What's up, guys? Never been to Detroit in my life.
We were close. We were pretty close to Detroit. A big shout out to Union Pier.
Michigan. Yeah. That was a cute place.
Union Pier's nice.
Yeah.
We went to a wedding there once.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
So you may notice we've got some new activity on our podcast feed and also up on our Patreon. We said we'd start doing some weekly tarot card readings. And Monday was our first go.
And we did one. Promises made. Promises kept.
What do you think? Tell us.
Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Should we quit while we're ahead?
Quit. Are we behind?
We're pretty behind.
Also, there's a little Reiki and coffee with Frankie if you're a paid member.
Did a little thing.
If you want access to Frank's steamy biscuits, I know some people like it, some people don't like the term.
Nobody likes it.
Emily Bolsick does not like steamy biscuits.
Listen, all I'm saying is that these hands are like a top up for your morning Joe. You want a little warm up? I got you.
Those hot hands. If you want access to them, join our Patreon. It's only $4 per month.
That's so cheap. Also, disclaimer, you do not have access to my hands. It's just like a distance thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna ship your hands to anybody. That'd be
manslaughter,
grossly inappropriate and disgusting. So join our Patreon. Come say hey. It's a fun community.
Join the party.
And with that, you got anything else, Frankie?
I don't.
Okay. So let's chat with Kim. She was an amazing guest, and I feel like this conversation will speak for itself. Yeah.
We talked for a while. Oh, yeah. Actually, there are a couple of things now that I think about it.
Okay.
We talked for a while. We covered a lot of topics, but in particular, we talked about she has access to one of her end channels, one of her spirit guides, who she calls a spirit guide plus, because not one of the originals necessarily, but like an addition. He goes by the name of Monty. We didn't get around to channeling with Monty, but we are going to do a follow-up channeling with him. And Monty's kind of fun because apparently he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
In spirit guide form. And he's chosen to work with Kim in particular this time around. And we're taking questions. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Monty, just about anything, the two limitations are no medical stuff and no conspiracy theories because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions for Monty, why don't you write to us at clairvoyagingpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
And let us know if you have any questions. You probably have some questions after listening to this episode. So enjoy.
And let her rip. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today on Clairvoyaging. We love a good backstory. And I know you say you channel a spirit guide named Monty. I want to know not only everything about that, but also how did you get here? Can you tell us a backstory? Give us the goods.
Because I was not a woo-woo person, just 5 or 6 years ago. So I've owned a marketing agency for a very long time. It was bootstrapped. I started it with a computer in a college bedroom sort of deal when my husband was in law school. And really just did the whole hustle culture thing and like really was into the hustle culture, was really dedicated to my business. It was my bread and butter. It was everything I gave my energy to, everything that I cared about. And it's funny because years ago, someone came to me wanting to do marketing work for a directory for healers. And I was like, yeah, we'll take you as a client, but I don't believe in any of this, just so you know. Like, I'm happy to do the marketing for this. There's a market for it, but I don't really, sure. If people want to spend money on it, fine. I'm not, I sell all sorts of things to different people, but it's not something that I think is real. So eventually just kind of kept going down that path of overworking, working too much, built an agency up where I had 7 employees that it just became so stressful. And like everyone else in hustle culture, I started to have the breakdowns.
Uh-oh.
And I mean, you'll notice everyone that's an entrepreneur after a while, if they don't have something else to really anchor them, they have a massive breakdown at some point. And I would look at all my friends that were entrepreneurs and go, hasn't happened to me yet. Hasn't happened to me yet. Like I felt like I was dodging a bullet constantly. Yeah. And then it finally hit one day. And it got so bad. Like I was having nervous panic attack type situations driving into work. And tried doing therapy, very conventional therapy, CBT, tried to find the right therapist. I went through multiple therapists. The problem was I was so good logically. I knew what my problems were, but I couldn't even go beyond using the coping skills. And the answer I was constantly given was, this is just the way stuff is. You have to learn how to cope with it. And I really felt like, okay, there's got to be some other thing. Like this can't be the way things have to be all the time. Success should not come at this cost. And around the same time, a very close friend of mine that I'd worked with, who is a copywriter, she started doing energy healing. And it was like right after the worst of the pandemic was when this was all happening. And she was on Clubhouse, and Clubhouse was like the new big thing. And I got on Clubhouse and heard her talking about that she had experienced all of the same things I was going through, but that energy healing was the solution.
Sorry, what is Clubhouse?
So Clubhouse was this app where it was people were talking in real time and you could listen to them, and then they would let you like on stage basically, and you could talk to each other. So it was a place for people, especially during the pandemic, where we were in isolation, where people could talk to each other. And in the marketing world, people got really into it. So it was just a bunch of other marketers talking to other marketers in my space is what it ended up becoming. But I heard her talking on Clubhouse, like the first time I signed into this app to just see what it was all about. She was talking about, I'd gone through all of these experiences that were so similar to mine, and that energy healing was the thing that made the difference. And I had like tried all the different types of therapy that I had access to where I'm in the world. There's not a lot of resources because I'm in a rural area. So I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And she did a free session with me to give it a try. And that was when everything changed for me. That at that point I was like, oh, this is real. This woo-woo stuff is very, very real, because it was such a powerful session. And so I decided with her to commit to doing really intense energy healing. So I went and did, she's based in Australia. So we would meet on Zoom once a week, do a session every week. And then I would re-listen to it and do the energy healing on myself every week. And I did that for about 2.5 years.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It was intense.
Such dedication. That's amazing.
So during that time, though, I could not hear my spirit guides. I was definitely someone that did not have any intuitive skills. I was not raised in a psychic or intuitive family. So it was not something that I had really been exposed to. And eventually, as I was doing these energy healing sessions with her, I started to be able to like feel the energy and notice things and see things. And then eventually, after probably 8 or 9 months of doing it on a consistent basis with her, I could start to kind of feel and sense some shadowy figures, have some idea that there were beings there. And she'd be like, oh, your spirit team's here to help. And I'm like, okay, who are they? Why are they here? Like, what are they for? And then would try to do, all the meditations on YouTube of like, let's get in touch with your spirit guides. And nothing would ever show up. And I was like, well, it must be for some people, but not for me. That must be a skill that some people can have. And eventually I learned how to channel a completely different way. So a lot of people start with their spirit guides first, but her recommendation was to sit down every day and to write down questions of whatever issues I was facing. And then just listen to what she calls your true infinite self, which is her interpretation of the soul or your highest self. And then just write down whatever it was I was receiving from there. That is a form of channeling. It's called inspirational writing. And I didn't know that it was channeling at the time. I had no idea. But in asking those questions to my highest self, I started to figure out solutions to really like real world issues that I was going through, of like how to handle different things with clients, or this thing was happening with an employee, I don't know what to do. And that was the thing where stuff started to change, that the energy healing got me to the place where I could connect in that way. But actually tapping into my highest self and getting that advice made it so that way my life's changed outwardly. A lot of times we do energy healing and it changes inwardly, but then we don't see anything on the outside. And that was when things really started to take off for me. And then I decided, I'm going to become an energy healer. This is so great. Everyone should do this. And no one would take me up on free sessions whatsoever. I could not give them away. So at the time, my husband was like starting to do energy healing too, because he had seen what a difference it had made for me. And he had this really tough block. And he used the same energy healer that I used. And she was like, well, practice on him. There's no harm in doing it. You'll see if you like it, because his energy is really difficult to work with. It's a little spiky. When I was in session with him this one time, maybe like the second time that I tried doing it with him, I felt this like really warm energy off to the side that was loving and helpful. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is the energy he needs to clear this block. So I'm going to bring it into my body and then channel it to him. And then the next thing I know, I feel warmth on my throat and tingling on my throat. And then words start coming out. And that is when I voice channeled for the first time.
What?
Whoa.
This is interesting. Wait, I'm not going to interrupt you. Keep going, please. More.
So from there, I decided, okay, what the heck was that? Like, I don't even know what just happened. So I had heard about voice channeling. Most people are familiar with Abraham Hicks as the voice channeler most people know, especially if you're in the manifestation space. Not everybody knows that that's actually a spirit being named Abraham. Well, it's like a spirit collective that's speaking through Esther Hicks. Some people just hear the information, but they don't know that that's the source of it, because it feels relevant. So where does it matter where it's coming from? So I then was like, okay, I've heard about this voice channeling stuff. What is this? And then I ended up trying to find books and teachers. And most of the teachers that are like the well-known teachers in the channeling space have now passed on. They're no longer with us, but they've left their books behind. And every single time I'd find a new book and be like, oh, maybe this person can teach me, they had passed on. Like one guy had died 2 weeks before I contacted them. So it was really hard to find a channeling teacher, but I did finally find 2 people that I worked with and learned channeling in a really formal setting. So it wasn't where I just allowed it to intuitively happen. I was someone that was still very logical, still am now, still very grounded, and went through a very rigorous program in the same way that I approached energy healing very rigorously. I did the same thing with channeling. And so then I learned how to formally channel and then started offering it for clients and have been doing it for about 3 years now.
And people did take you up on that.
Yes. At that point, I started giving away free sessions and people were like, heck yes, this is amazing. Let's do it. And I was like, okay, well, that's the universe doing it. And the first time that I offered a free session to somebody, I sent an email and I was really nervous about it because it was someone I'd just seen on TikTok talking about, like, I'm looking for this. And I was like, well, I'm in her membership. I guess I'll send her a message. The moment I hit send, our backyard neighbors, they launched off some party poppers and all cheered because they were having a gender reveal that we didn't know about.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
So at that point I was like, okay, I guess this is the thing. It wasn't energy healing. That was just a step to get here.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's so cool. I love that. Wait, okay. I've never heard of anyone like the moment like coming into the ability of channeling.
Yeah.
So
It's
fascinating.
much more than you think, honestly. I get approached by people because I'm outward about doing channeling that will contact me and say, "Hey, this happened to me and I don't know what the heck this is." And most people, it's kind of scary experience because you're like, "Did I just lose my mind?" And the channeling world, unfortunately, does have a reputation of there are people who channel who are very, very ungrounded, that may be channeling things that are not really good sources. So there is, just like every other industry, every other niche out there, there's some people who are doing it in a way that's very helpful. There are some people that are doing it in a way that's not so helpful. And then there's the people who are just flat out lying. So a lot of people that come into it spontaneously, they're like, "Oh, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole," because it's so far down the road in psychic abilities and psychic skills that it seems too much, versus like, "Oh, I saw some colors of light when I closed my eyes in a meditation. That was cool." That feels like it can be more comfortable versus suddenly someone speaking out of my voice. At the times when that happens, we see that as something that is a not psychic, but psychotic break.
Right.
You have some sort of psychiatric disorder that needs treatment, like multiple personality disorder, things like that. But people who channel on a routine basis actually test lower than the average person does on psychiatric evaluations for personality disorders.
That's interesting.
Wow. Does your voice change? Does the way you speak change? Yeah.
It is not so significantly that it's like I sound like a little voice that's coming out, or it changes to like a deep booming. It does sound like me, but it's different enough that you're like, "Oh, this isn't her anymore." And so sometimes when people listen to our podcast, and I say our because it's me and my source of guidance, whose name is Monty, that he's my spirit guide. We do it together. He picks the topics and we do the channeling part first, and then I'll comment on the human perspective and the rest of the podcast. And you can tell, like when you're listening to it, oh, it's Monty speaking. And my body also changes the way that I'm sitting. He makes me sit up so much straighter. It actually hurts my back sometimes. I'm like, can I slouch? He likes to put his hands, I say his because like it doesn't feel like my body anymore when he's in there. He likes to hold his hands like this. And he just puts his hands like this. It's like a place to rest because it feels like he doesn't know what to do with them to a certain extent. So he's like, "I'm going to put him like this." And it's funny because
isn't that what Bashar does?
Bashar does the opposite. I think he does this reverse triangle thing.
Yeah.
So you said that when you first channeled something, were you doing work on your husband? Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, if it wasn't with someone I trusted very deeply and that gave me confirmation, I wouldn't have trusted it. So I was really fortunate in that he talks to his spirit guides every morning and he writes down what they tell him on his phone when he wakes up first thing. And he does a little meditation and it's like, "What is the thing you need to tell me?" And what his spirit guides had told him that morning was what the message continued to be about in the session. Huh. And then he was like, "Hey, this was a continuation of what they were talking about before. And I want you to know that because you're kind of like, was this real?" And I don't think without that, I probably would have brushed it off and been like, "Oh, I was just in a really good flow state," and said some things that were. But without that confirmation, a lot of people probably think, "I'm just in a flow." And sometimes it's not in the flow. Sometimes it really is that energy that you're taking in and allowing that to speak through you.
Did your husband notice a shift in that moment or like afterwards? Or were you like, something just happened?
I think so.
Because Frank.
You channeled. I want you to know that you channeled. And I think it was more the content necessarily than like he noticed the difference. Honestly, I've never asked him that question. So I'll have to ask him and find out what he says.
Yeah.
So the sensation was that you felt like a warmth in your throat and then words just started coming. Yeah. Did you as an individual, did you have to like step aside or where did you go?
Yeah, I was still there and I had been working on the skill of surrender for some time. And so I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just surrender to this energy and allow it to come in." So I'd set that intention before the energy came in. And before that, I had been looking for someone to teach me how to do energy healing in a more formal way as well, really thinking like I was going to go do this as a career. So I also think that was part of it, of that I was setting this intention that someone could come and help me do this energy healing session, and that I was going to surrender. So I think those two parts were really key. But I was still very physically present. You can channel and be physically present. It's the trance state varies depending on how deep you want to go. So there's like very light channeling that is inspirational writing. So you're fully in your body and you're listening and you're writing down what you think you're receiving. That's what most psychics are doing as well, because channeling is taking anything from the non-physical and bringing it into the physical, in my definition. It's super broad. Then from there, you go to like automatic writing, which is you're releasing control of one body part of your hand or your arm, and you're letting the being write with your body, but you're still present in your mind most of the time. Then you get to the point where you're doing light trance channeling, which is you go into meditation and you're going into a deeper trance state. It's very light though, so you're still present, but you feel kind of like floaty. You feel a little disconnected from your body. And when you do that, then it's kind of more of a shift. And that's what most people do when they start channeling. Most people don't go for a full trance state. And full trance state in a deep trance is you are asleep and you have no idea what's happening. And some of the really famous older channels did that, like Jane Roberts. She would lay down and I think she like crossed her arms over her chest and would go to sleep.
I feel like that's like an Edgar Cayce thing too.
He did that too. And Edgar Cayce, even when he died, was like, I mean, I think I'm channeling my highest self, but I don't really know. So that's when you're in that deep trance state, you don't have any control really over what's happening. So I use what's called semi-conscious trance. So I am conscious, but not fully conscious. I'm past that floaty feeling and my consciousness is back over here. It's behind my head. And I trade places. So when Monty comes in, he always comes in from the front left for me. And I can, get a sense of his energy. When he first started coming in, the very first time, he presented like in a more humanoid form, but with like fishy features. And now when he comes to me, he's just light. And it looks like light coming through waves is how he presents to me now. But when he first came, it was more of like he was looked more like a physical being, I think, because it made me more comfortable. Wow. And so then when we get in the
nothing more comfortable than a fish head man talking to you.
I was okay with it, but other people like, absolutely not. So my consciousness goes back here and then he comes in through the front. So it's kind of like this little trade-off that happens. And that's when he takes control, but I'm still in charge. I can kick him out whenever I want. So like if I'm in the middle of a channeling session, we start having internet issues, I can come back in and it sort of deal. Whereas if I was in a deep trance state, that person's just never going to get to hear what they wanted to hear because the
so you guys are
Monty's just going off.
Yeah. So you're like a wrestling tag team kind of thing. Like your turn. Yeah. And then what is your strategy for the surrender? Because you're saying there's different levels of surrender, and no one goes full trance, but I mean people do. Yeah. But yeah. So what's your strategy? The only time I surrender is if someone asks me if I want a piece of pie, and you're saying like you don't have to have the whole piece of pie. You can have just a little slice of pie.
Or if I have you down, like I'm holding your arm behind your back and making you give me your money.
Lauren does that to me all the time. She steals my money.
Surrender.
Okay, sorry.
It's intentional, first off. It's not something that I would ever do without like a process. So the channeling process I go through every single time when I am accepting a spirit being's energy into me and they're assuming control, I always ground really, really well first. And that's one of the things that makes me different from other channelers. I ground to like an excessive amount because that's how I was taught to do channeling. The reason why is it gives us that base that we can return to easily. The more grounded we are in our form, not only do our bodies feel safe so we can surrender more deeply, but then we have that vessel to return to that's really solid and we have that strong connection.
What's your grounding practice? Like what are you doing?
Yeah, it's really purely energetic. So I call all my energy back to myself and I draw it back down through all of my energetic centers, all the way down through my feet. And then I open up, you have 2 chakras at the bottom of your feet, and I open those both up and send my energy down all the way into the center of the earth. And then this is the key. I allow my energy to really wrap itself around the center of the earth. For me, it appears as 2 pillars. So I kind of make a figure 8 between that. Other people, it can be like a single atom if they're very literalist people. It could be like a crystal pyramid. Everybody's is a little different, but you hook into that and then you wait. So most people then are like, okay, I'm grounded, and they pull the energy back up. That's your energy that's doing the work versus allowing the grounding energy to meet you. So the first times when I was doing grounding, it would take an hour or more for me to be fully grounded. Yeah.
What was your indicator that you were grounded?
Yeah.
So you feel really heavy. Your body feels like, to me, I feel like I am in a mud bath and like I couldn't move. If I wanted to move, I could, but I like, why? My body I'm just kind of like, I feel like a blob at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just realizing how like incredibly impatient I am because I'm hearing this and I'm like, oh yeah. Like
I'm in the middle of becoming a Reiki master, and I have been like learning different ways to like, before you give anyone Reiki, how to like, I've been describing as the process of being filled with Reiki yourself and also grounding at the same point is like filling up an ice cube tray.
Yeah.
Say it again.
It's a form of channeling in its own right. So
sure. Yeah.
We go through the same steps. It's just maybe how we do it is a little different. Because then after I ground, the thing that channelers often do is we remove our thinking mind. So you have all this thinking energy that's in, on, and around your head all the time. So we actually gather that all up and we put it into a ball, and then we set that ball off to the side. And what I usually tell my students is like, give it a Rubik's Cube or a puzzle or a crossword to do and tell it like, occupy yourself with this. Now it's not the time. Because it creates this veil of logic around us that makes it hard for intuitive stuff to come through. Sure. So that's why like really logical people have a really hard time receiving of like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk to my spirit guides, but I'm a logical person and I have a hard time disconnecting from that energy. It kind of acts as like this little logic force field of like anything that's not logical cannot enter in. So they're like, why is it happening? It's often because of that.
Good to know. I have that.
The world is logic focused. Like we believe in linearity. We believe that things have an order. Things must be organized. Therefore, we must be organized and systemized and optimized. Yeah. And that logic really drives us to that. So then after that, I connect up to source and really get myself open at that point. And I'll go through each one of my energetic centers, really open it up. Most people don't do that to the full capacity that they could. It's a process. You have to clear them out so that way the energy can flow through. So there's a lot of energy healing involved in that. But most people, like for your third eye, most people are focusing on the area like near the front of their forehead, whereas your third eye is smack in the middle of your, like if you drew a line down your spinal column the whole way down, it's just right in front of that spinal column in the very middle of your head. So I'll focus on that area and bringing in energy and clearing that out. And then I do that for each one of the different centers. I will also, if I'm going to do a deeper channeling state, I'll go to the like next dimension up, which is the hara line. And I will also clear out the hara line, which is not everybody in energy healing knows what the hara line is. It depends on kind of like what your heritage is, but it's basically the line of purpose of why you are here from a soul perspective in many different interpretations. So I go through that, and that lives at a different frequency level than your basic chakras, that those are at a higher dimension. So I go through and clear that out as well. Because for me, I've realized that channeling is in part my purpose in this lifetime. So clearing that out of any gunk that's kind of gumming up my purpose works basically allows me to channel more deeply. Then at that point, it's the act of surrender. So I do all of that first of preparing my vessel before I even get to surrender. I'm making my body feel safe. I'm giving myself a place to return to. I'm preparing to accept energies, and I'm getting in line with my purpose. All of that has to happen. And I'm getting rid of my thinking mind as well. All of that has to happen before I will do a deeper channeling state. Then at that point, I also clear out everything. So no ancestors, no other spirit beings, nobody else is around. I get to the point where I'm clear and I let go of any connections that I have energetically with anybody. So if I had an email that I saw right before a channeling session that I feel needs to get addressed, I just let it go.
Yeah.
And all of those different energetic connections. So even though my thinking mind isn't focused on it, my energy could still be focused on it. So I actively, with my intention, just let those go. I imagine like I'm holding these energetic cords and I'm just letting them go. And then at that point, I'm clear. I'm ready. My vessel is completely prepared and I'll invite Monty in. And at this point, I know him really well. But in the beginning, you always go through the practice of assessing your source of guidance.
That was one of my questions is how
do you
what's
know?
your process?
Yeah.
Because you know what you're connecting to. And you should, because we have to use discernment. You use discernment when you're channeling before you get connected and after. In the middle, you just do the channeling act. Discernment takes you out of channeling. So we use our discernment before we connect and we say, okay, this spirit being, are they light filled? And that could be a visual cue. It could be that they feel light, they feel airy. Are they calm? Are they speaking with one collective voice? Is their energy all over the place? We don't want to connect with stuff where their energy is really disconnected feeling. Does it feel calm and collected? Does it have a sweetness to it? So this is more of a check for it's not something you want to connect to, because not all spirit beings will have like this really good aspect of sweetness to them, because some of them are like there to lay down the law and get you to like show up and do the work. But if something presents itself and it has this like acrid or kind of gross feeling to it, don't connect to it. Yeah. And then the last is that it feels supportive. That comes with time of like understanding what support feels like, because especially our spirit guides, which is what most people learn to connect to first, because they're closer to us. Their energy is closer to where we are all the time versus like a higher ascended being. They're harder to get in touch with because you have to raise your energy up so much more. So they love us unconditionally. Your spirit guides love you no matter how much you F up, no matter what you do. They love you. You could be a murderer. They love you no matter what, because they see in you the soul energy that you have and all of the like really amazing bits of who you are that you could be. They're loving you for that potential. So checking of those things, then it's time to actually go through the process of surrender and removing the consciousness from the body and allowing your source of guidance to come in. But it has all of that set up. As you become more skilled as a channel, it's much faster. But when I first started that process, I had to break it down. So I wouldn't do everything at once. I learned how to ground really, really well. Then I learned how to move my thinking mind out of the way. Then I learned how to connect and like really open up and be in that expanded state, because you have to be really expanded to channel higher sources of guidance. So breaking those down into individual skills was how I really learned in a more formal way how to channel. For some people, it comes very naturally, though. I'm not one of those people in some ways of like, it does come naturally to me, it happens spontaneously, but I have a very formal training and a very formal process that I still use.
I feel like people are real fast and loose with their, I channeled this message.
I agree.
Especially hearing from you. Like now I'm like, but did you? Like
that's my first question.
Channeled from what? Yeah. So is that like subconscious when someone says like, I channeled this book, or I channeled these drawings, or just this message came through this morning and I channeled it. Like they're not saying from where.
That would be my first question, is where? Like, where did you get it from? And you tell where you're getting it from. Yeah. Because a lot of people channel don't know what they're channeling. And if you don't know what you're channeling, you don't know the source, it may not be a good source. Yeah. That's the kind of the tricky part about channeling. There is an idea, I don't necessarily believe in it myself, of trickster guides. Where some being shows up and they pretend to be a spirit guide that's there to help you, and they earn your trust, and then they have you start doing these really awful things that are negative that hurt you over time.
Yeah.
And it comes to discernment. I think the reason why people fall for it is because they're not using their discernment. And if they were more patient and really assess, like, are you really on the good side for me? Like, Are you really going to help me? And be constantly using that discernment. Because spirit guides, they're not infallible. They get stuff wrong.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
there are certain kind of traits of what I look for in channeled material. Number one, it has to be supportive. It can't be something negative. So like for me, when people are like, I channeled this and it's the end of the world, I'm like, okay, cult leader. Like, no. So it has to be something supportive. It cannot disagree with most major world religions. Like most world religions in some way have commonalities. There are definitely things that are different about each one. But if there's a channeled material that I come across that's like, this is completely wrong and it's wrong in every world religion and I'm the only source that knows that,
Yeah.
take a hike.
Right.
Yeah.
Why you so much better than all of the world religion and all of the wisdom that we could have had, in an organized sense. And, religion notwithstanding has its issues, but there's still a lot of truth in it when you kind of do that comparative studies of the different world religions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It also say should a lot of like, you should be doing this, or you have to do this or else sort of language of, it's always a matter of choice. That's why we're here, is to make choices. We're here to experience things. We're here to make decisions. And if a source of guidance is removing that ability to make decisions, they're trying to enact their will through force on you.
Mm.
That's not really guidance, now is it?
Right.
So those are the kind of the features that I look for. Now, if it meets all those things and I don't know where it's from, if it makes you feel a sense of calm and ease, and makes you feel that expanded sense without just patting your ego and making you feel like so amazing about yourself. Great. Wonderful. And, some things are definitely harder to tell than others. And it comes down to, does this give me a sense of peace and ease without making me feel self-aggrandized? Does it reveal something about the world or my understanding or perspective that changes my viewpoint in such a way that is beneficial to me? So when we think about like historic oracles, like the Oracle of Delphi, most people ask oracles, and even my clients, they ask really mundane questions most of the time. Like, how do I deal with my neighbor? They're driving me bananas. Or like, how can I do this in my business to make more money? Like most of it are not like really big spiritual questions. I do have some clients that ask those questions, but it's usually people later in life. Our age bracket are more concerned with, how do I function? How do I survive? How do I deal with all this stuff?
Every day.
And the point isn't to tell you exactly what to do. The point of receiving an oracle, which is kind of like the older version of what channeling is that it transforms the energy and the perspective that you have. So you have that shift. So even though you may just receive the words and you're like, logical, that makes sense, a really good oracular experience transforms you energetically in a way that you are no longer what you were before.
Oh, okay. That resonates a lot. Or like I've had that feeling before, and that you just put it really well.
You can say, like for me, I had what would be termed in like the old fashioned idea of channeling in like the ancient world of like, when I hit send on that email and my neighbors launched off all the party poppers and cheered, there is no going back anymore for me. And that when something like that so clearly happens, that's an oracular experience. Like when I got scared and was like, oh, I can't do this. Like channeling is too weird. I got to go be a business consultant or something like that. Like I can't do this for a career. It's like, I cannot make a living doing this. I knew I couldn't do it. Like there's just like this change and shift in me that like, no, actually I can't. I've had this oracular experience and that is not who I am anymore because of this moment that I always think back to of this happened for a reason. And I have to acknowledge that of like, not only did that event happen, but something happened to me in that event.
Yeah.
And that's one, like a really good oracular experience of whatever that channeling is. And there's a really long history of that in like lots of different things, lots of different cultures. Every single culture has channeling in some way. So we can think like ancient Greece had the different oracles and sibyls. There's the I Ching in China. That's the foundation of human design and gene keys now. all of those are received things. All of those are channeled. And there's things even in Australia that they have the native peoples there were channeling things as well that have formed the foundation of a lot of their tales and stories and things like that. So basically, humans have had this ability to channel. And then we said, everything's got to be logical. And these experiences are not logical.
Yeah.
Why the heck would I change my entire life because my neighbors put some party poppers? Like, that's not.
I mean, the big moments are always, you could chalk it up to a coincidence, and once you get into the habit of like of ignoring those coincidences, it's just like, it's hard to get out of that. You have to have some kind of spiritual shock to be like, oh shit, like that was important. Yeah. Pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And allow the meaning to actually like sit with you.
On that idea of like, you acknowledging and recognizing that the coincidences aren't always just coincidences. When you first started channeling, did you realize that you had a new perspective on an existing experience that you were always having, or was this a new occurrence, something that was brand new for you?
It was something that was brand new, like, honestly, because I had not had, like, I grew up religious. I grew up in a hippy dippy church. So like, all was standing is a very different experience where like we started every Sunday with like, Jesus loves you. Sort of that vibe. Pretty different. In terms of like angels always being with you or synchronicities or things like that, that was just happenstance. And I also was not a very lucky person. Bad things just would go wrong all the time in my life. And it seems like it was like just inbuilt part of my heritage, because it's also, it could be said about most of my family that we're just kind of like unlucky people. And I thought a lot about that of like, once I started channeling, why was that? Like, why was it all these people in my life would have all these like serendipitous events that would happen that would set them on this other course, and these things didn't happen to me? And I really don't quite know the answer, other than potentially that I was living a life that was so out of alignment with myself. It was trying to like give me some bad luck to like throw me back on the right path. Because when I think about things I was into as a kid, I loved yoga. I thought rocks were so cool. And now I have this giant freaking
wear that around your neck. You're like the Flava Flav of esotericism.
I would need some really strong neck muscles.
That's like a second head.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's massive. And it's my buddy that helps me stay grounded, that I keep on my desk when I do channeling sessions. And like, I've got like all sorts of like crystals and all sorts of stuff around me all the time. And when I think about it, like, I was the little kid that collected rocks and was like, oh, look at this one. And I've been into a lot of that. Why? Like, why did that happen? And I think that going through the process of doing the energy healing and the channeling and having those experiences has made me really understand that self-abandonment was such a part of my story.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah. So let me think the best way to explain this. I've found out in the last like year, I'm a high functioning codependent, which is rooted in my upbringing. There is one family member that if things went wrong, everything had to stop. Like, we had to stop doing what we were doing. We had to fix whatever was going wrong for this individual and the family. Otherwise, we all suffered for it. And so there was always like an accommodation of like, well, we better do this, otherwise they're going to get upset. Or we better do this because we need to compensate. So I learned from a very young age, you need to make sure to control your environment to stay safe. That's where most high functioning codependents come from. So I wasn't like it never resonated with me of codependency of like, I was enabling other people to do like addictive behaviors, is like the conventional idea of codependency. There's this other concept of high functioning codependency. You are high achieving. You have an amazing business. You are such a great manager, and you put your employees' needs first at the cost of your own financial well-being. You work too much to make your clients' results be really good because you're constantly going through that process of self-abandonment because it creates safety. So that's where it comes from for me, is, you know, that idea of I'm only safe if I'm controlling my environment to make sure everybody else is happy.
And yeah, that makes sense for now being so aligned with what you're supposed to be doing. Like everything was like, hello, Kim, energy, like heal your body, pay attention to yourself, you know, heal everything that's happened or that's continuing, whatever it is. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny you point this out. So trigger warning for people that have medical trauma. When I was at my lowest point, I'd done my first energy healing session, but hadn't decided to really commit to it. I got really sick. I went to the hospital, like to the emergency room, and they were like, you've got gastritis. Here's some medication. Go take this. You'll be fine. I was not fine. And I actually had a UTI and got like to the point that I was probably going to get close to sepsis. Finally went to another doctor and they prescribed a common antibiotic called ciprofloxacin. For everyone listening, never, ever take it. It has an FDA black box warning. I am not like anti-medicine by any means. It's just it's a drug. It's a lot of issues and is known to have a lot of issues. And within 15 minutes of taking that, I had a massive adverse reaction. My body was like on fire. I lost the ability to walk for 4 weeks. It's like 20 pounds. And like still have health stuff to this day. So it was like such a self-abandonment moment that it forced me to have to do energy healing because the medical community doesn't really know what to do when you have a severe adverse reaction to an antibiotic because they don't really quite understand why it happens. So as part of that, I was like, well, I can't use any medications to make me feel good because most of them are going to trigger it more and harm me. So I might as well try energy healing. So that is like part of the reason why I committed to it. But the bit that like was the self-abandonment part was I had this bad feeling about taking this antibiotic. I don't know why. But I just had this really bad. And my mom works in the medical community and I called her and it was like, hey, what do you think? She's like, looked at her drug book and she's like, it's only for people over 60. You'll be fine. And I Googled it online and I didn't find anything because I wasn't searching the right stuff. Turns out like there's tons and tons of horror stories about this. There's even like a New York Times article about it. I just didn't find it. And so I went to take the pill and I turned to my husband and I was like, here goes nothing as I popped the pill in because but I was so sick at that point. I was like, doctors must know better than me. So I'm going to trust them.
Right.
And that was a moment.
Who's the doctor that has this drug in their back pocket? Like, you know what you need.
Because they only issued in 2018. Like the black box warning. So it's relatively new of this understanding, like it really causes harm to people. And there's like a whole group, we're called Floxies, that we have a name. Because it's bad enough, like we have a community of us. And so they've been trying to like go to Congress and be like, this drug needs to be pulled off the market. It's actually banned in most other countries or can only be used in a hospital setting. And lots of people get prescribed it for UTIs here, like really common, or for eye infections, ear infections, stuff like that.
That's insane.
What Supra?
Ciprofloxacin. You can call it Cipro. The other one is Levaquin. They're all in the family of fluoroquinolones. It's known in the medical community, but like I tell people like, hey, I had this reaction. They're like, really? Like I read about that, but I didn't know it was a real thing. And I'm like, please never prescribe it to anyone because it's really dangerous.
I mean, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
that's crazy.
A lot of the other people that have the level of reaction that I did end up wheelchair bound for the rest of their lives. So I'm really fortunate in that way, and had this moment when I finally could get out of bed and took a shower, and I was standing in the shower and I was like in so much pain, and I was like, I am not letting this take me down. I get to choose now of like, am I going to let this really destroy my body and just be a shell of a person, or am I going to do everything I possibly can? And one of those things that I tried was energy healing, because I was like, nope, I'm not going down without a fight. Like, and I'm just not that kind of person. And that's not to say that the people that didn't, weren't successful in their healing weren't those types of people. It's really a absolute shit show for sometimes. But, for me, that was that decision. And I can see, and looking back, hindsight 2020, so much of that self-abandonment along the way in order to control my environment.
So wait, since you've been on this path now, have you found that your luck has changed?
Oh, heck yes. All the time. Yeah. Even how I'm now here with you was, I felt this like little nudge to go look at threads. in a moment where I was like, I'd finished a task and I've been trying to like not do that on social media, but it was like, and my spirit guys were like, yeah, go look at your phone, go look at threads, it'll be fine. And you guys just posted a thread about that you had an opening for a slot to record, and here I am. And like it's things like that happen now that are just like small synchronicities that add up over time.
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ideally, let me ask you real quick, how long would be enough time if we were to do a channeling with Monty? Is that?
It depends on how many questions you want to ask him. So, like if you guys want to ask like 8 to 10 questions, that's usually about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on what the questions are. Like that's how long a session is. It's 90 minutes and then we channel for about an hour-ish.
Okay.
On that.
We have normal questions and like I want to ask about Monty, but then we'll talk to Monty next time. So let's talk about Monty. So you mentioned he looked fishy at first. Is that indicative of like where he's from, or was that just like a coincidence? I don't know.
So this is an interesting story. So the reason why his name is Monty is not because he gave me that name, but because I used to call him Mr. Fish because I literally didn't know what to call him. And we were going on vacation to Miami around the same time. There's a fish restaurant there called Monty's, and the rest of my spirit was like, we should call him Monty. And I didn't connect it together at first. And they were all like, ha, ha, ha. And he's fine with it, but it's definitely a joke to him because they were kind of a little like, why does he get Mr. and the rest of us doesn't? And like, why don't we get that? So they were like, I guess, ragging on him, taking him down a notch. So that's why his name is Monty. But when he first presented, he definitely had those like fishy qualities. I don't know like how much stock I personally put into star seeds because that is a slippery slope into the alt-right very quickly.
So slippy. It's so slippery.
I do think it's a real thing. Like, I do think we could be incarnated on other planets and other dimensions. There's so much that we don't know. Monty's talked about it before when he's been asked about star seeds of like, yeah, but that doesn't make you special. Like everybody's done that. So, it's, that aspect of it. But what I've been told by other people is that I'm a Minnetonkan star seed. And that is a fishy planet with mermaidy type stuff. So that's kind of our connection. But here on the human planet, how I have worked with Monty has been across multiple lifetimes. And I was an oracle like way back when for Monty as like he was seen as a deity. Monty was like, I don't want to be a deity. This isn't why I'm here. Like, I don't like this whole hierarchy bit. So he was like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so the like oracular temple experience kind of went by the wayside. The messages dried up. And for whatever reason, he picked me as the being that he was going to continue to work with and became on my spirit team. The other feature about him that's kind of unique versus other spirit guides is he is also a spirit guide channeling instructor. So they don't all know how to channel. It is a skill just for them as it is for us that they also have to work on. Oh. So that's why people get lots of like spirit guide messages and signs in physical reality all the time, and some people don't, is that their team may be more skilled at that they've worked on it. So Monty also teaches other people that come to our school to, like, they learn how to channel on the human side. Their spirit guides are also getting coached on how to channel because, and I'll tell you, like, different sources of guidance and different spirit guides, some of them are better channels than others. And it doesn't always have to do with the person that's channeling. It also has to do with the source of guidance. So like, are they good at reading the person's energy to figure out what's going on? Are they talking to their spirit team? Do they have the spiritual knowledge and experience to answer the questions that someone's having? Do they talk in only flowery language that's not very applicable, that we don't know what to do with as humans because they are so disconnected from the human experience? Like, there's a lot of different aspects to it. So in terms of like who Monty is, that is my understanding. I'm sure there's more that I don't know. I'm sure that maybe there's parts of that may not be 100% accurate. I don't know. And I'm okay with that because I know him and we have this relationship together. And the things that he shares in channeling sessions are so spot on all the time of, we get somebody, we have no idea who they are. We do it with cameras off. I can't read them whatsoever. Like there's no indicator of who they are, anything like that. And he's like, you're going through this, this, and this, and this. These things are happening. This is what your energy is doing. This is what you need to work on. These are the exercises energetically to do, blah, 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 blah. And the person leaves and they're in this state of like calm and peace and groundedness. And I'm just sitting there at the end like, dang, how did he know all that? Especially at the beginning, started channeling and was like, how does this even happen? Like I was still not quite understanding it. One of the first sessions that I did with a friend, she's a very witchy person. And it was back when I wasn't specifically working with Monty. And her spirit guide, he used to do what's called doorkeeping. So I would bring in Monty, he would start the session, and then somebody else's spirit guide from their team would swap spots with Monty. And then their spirit guide would speak. And so Monty, number one, is like vetting the other guide to make sure A, that they can channel, B, that I should be working with them, and C, they should even participate in the scenario. And they swap spots.
Can I just say, I'm pretty sure that I've in my life met a bouncer named Monty before in clubs or bars or something. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Monty seems like, if you're going to be named Monty, you better have a chain,
Yeah. And a baseball bat.
That's not his personality of like my Monty is not like that at all. They swapped spots and this other being came in and like gave her all these directions on how to do this particular like witchy activity with a purple candle. I don't know anything about witchy stuff. Like I almost went down that path, but I was like, not for me. That's great. I respect it. I have a lot of empathy and admiration for it, but it doesn't resonate with me. So I don't really know anything about like candle colors and all of that different correspondence stuff. Like I'd never learned that. And gives her all these directions on this different activity to do. And she, at the end of the session, is like, this morning I was at the shop that she works at, and she was like, and I got a purple candle and I don't know why. And now I know why. I know what to do with it. Of like,
oh my
this
God.
So it's that like level of inbuilt trust of like, the only reason why that spirit guide came through is because Monty let them and told me it was okay to trust them. So it's been a developed relationship over time. So even for me, like of who Monty is, it's our connection with each other that matters more to me and the things that he has shared in this experience than our previous experiences. Like I could care less that I was an oracle for him eons ago. It does not matter to me in this life.
How often does it happen where like someone else's spirit guide?
Very, it doesn't happen as often now. When I first started channeling, like I felt like Monty wasn't enough. And that was from me of like, how could my spirit guide know enough about other people and what they need to know, especially when he's on?
I was curious about.
And it's because he's kind of like a spirit guide plus. Like he's not a conventional spirit guide. His role is a little different. And what he's explained it to me, and what other guides on my team have explained it, of like the reason why they wanted to call him Monty is because energetically he is not a spirit guide. Most spirit guides, their energy is lower, because they're connected to us all the time. So they're vibrating at a lower frequency, basically. If like you think we're solid ice, they're water vapor, and then there's like different levels of water vapor, right?
Yeah.
So like barely water vapor in the spirit guides. And then you got like archangels, they're higher up. You got like the ascended masters, they're higher up. They're like up that temperature scale, basically. So Monty is like closer to an archangel or ascended master than he is a spirit guide. But he decided to like step it down and be on my spirit team specifically. So that way we could do this work together, is his explanation.
And how often are you surprised by the information that comes out of your mouth?
It's like every day. Like,
yeah.
It's not shocking so much as I've gotten used to it now of like, oh, that's weird. But even like last night, I taught a class of how to meet your spirit guides for the first time for people who had never done it before. And he's in my ear going, okay, this person is going through a like really tough time. You need to tell them this information about their spirit guide and why they're there. And like the person reached out this morning and said like, hey, I wanted you to know like what you had to share was really important to me, that the spirit guide's there. I've been receiving these messages from them, but I wasn't sure because, I'm not really experiencing it. that's been really important for that person. But I would not have like tuned in psychically in that way because I don't really use my psychic skills in that fashion without him saying like, hey, it's time to tell them this. It's time to let them.
And does this channeling come at a cost, like an energetic cost to you? Are you tired or anything afterwards?
Well, in fact, most of the time I feel better. I'm going through perimenopause, yay. And so I'm histamine issues as my hormones are like wonky. And when I do channeling, a lot of the time it's actually clearing the histamines out. Like when I channel, sometimes I start to like go through a histamine dump. And often I have an aura ring to help me manage my chronic illness stuff. It will think I'm asleep while I'm channeling, even though I'm moving my hands because my heart rate goes so low while I'm channeling. It's kind of like really I'm having an active nap that's occurring because like when I'm in that semi-conscious state, like I'm still hearing what's being discussed and things like that, and like monitoring enough so that way I can answer human questions after the session, but I'm not interfering. I'm kind of like in the peanut gallery, just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I don't always remember it later, like immediately after I remember it, but like 2 or 3 days, I have like the general gist of it, but I don't know exactly what he said. And it feels to me just like I am really full of this really beautiful energy. I feel refreshed. I feel expanded. And I do, like right after I come out of channeling, I do have this like woozy sense, and I need to make sure I grind down my energy really well. But afterwards, I'm not like, it's not like having a meeting that's really difficult with a marketing client where it's draining. It's not like that. It's more of like feeling refreshed afterwards.
Does Monty have a particular relationship with your other guides? Are they like, or is it kind of awkward? Of like, oh, hey man.
I do think there may be a certain like, hey man sort of vibe. Only because they were like, you should call him Monty. It'd be funny. I think he probably holds them accountable, and he's probably like, he's funny. He will tell jokes and make people laugh. But he's not. Some of the other guides are really hilarious. Some of them are really silly. Some of them have personalities that are like really big, bold, out there. Like one of my guardian angels, he always comes in looking like a combination between like Elton John and Elvis Presley.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now, Monty's kind of guide. He's a little bit like, he's a little bit funny, but not that funny. So I think they kind of are like, God, this guy is so freaking serious all the time.
Freaking fish guy.
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Fish.
Do you exclusively channel Monty now? Or is it, aside from when you said you do?
Publicly. Yeah, publicly. But for myself, I will channel other stuff. But at this point, I've really committed to working with Monty. So like, it's our podcast. I don't talk about it as my podcast. It's our podcast. And like, it's our membership because like every week we post a channeled message, but then we do a guided meditation together. I do the first half, he does the second half. Or like we do group channeling. I do some like, this is what's happening and what you should be aware of and where your energy may be and like kind of what I'm seeing in lots of different clients. And then we'll do the channeling bit, and that's his bit. So it's a lot of like balance between the two, but he plans most of the podcast episodes. Like that's his deal. So it's definitely this collaboration between the two of us. So we really like committed to that, but that doesn't mean that I won't channel other things in the future, I have a feeling. And as well, I do channel other stuff for myself. So like I have a couple other guides that I work with on different issues, depending on what they are. Every guide that's on your team is there for a particular purpose or has like a particular thing they're really good at. So like I even have one guide that likes to work with me on Facebook meta ads that like they make recommendations and stuff like that. So it really just depends. And like, dang, she did a good job for our event that we got like a good CPA and all of that.
Oh my gosh.
So it cracks me up sometimes the things that they're there for, especially on other people's team. Like Monty will be like, you have a guide that's here to help you, like lose weight or something like that, which seems, it's really important if that's something you're committed to, improving your health. But when you look at it from like a losing weight as a spiritual mission, it's kind of funny because you don't think about it.
Oh my gosh.
That's your Richard Simmons is.
Oh, please. He's up there now. We can all borrow Richard Simmons. I need some of that juice.
Keep me moving.
Okay.
Sweating to the oldies. Sorry. Just gonna keep talking about Richard Simmons.
Yes. Shoot all your plugs out real quick. Tell people where to find you, and then we'll make sure we will talk to you next time or talk to Monty.
Yes. So you can find me at kimcharlson.com. We have a free guided meditation that you can use to get connected with your spirit guides. Whether you've done it before or not, it's a different process that centers on what we've talked about today. We also have a free channeled mini course called Soul Brave to help you get in touch with the bravery of your soul so that way you can start making choices in alignment. That comes from Monty. And you can find us at Vessel and Voice Podcast on any of your favorite platforms, including YouTube, that you can actually see me channeling and see what Monty looks like and what that experience is like. So we hope that you find us and engage with us. And as always, the best place to contact me is on Threads. I'm on all of the social media platforms, but Threads is the only one that I like really respond to. So if you want to talk to me, ask questions, that's a place to be.
That's perfect.
Sweet. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Tell Monty we're sorry we didn't talk to him yet, but we're going to get to him, I promise.
Oh, he knows. He's ready. What a delightful conversation this has been. It has gone through so many different places, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Thanks, Kim. Talk to you soon.
Bye, Kim.
Thank you for listening. Visit clairvoyaging.com for merchandise or to access free resources to help you on your spiritual journey. Subscribe to our Patreon for more content or join for free to chat with us. Clairvoyaging is a fiscally sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, a 501c3 charity. Make a tax-deductible donation to support our mission to foster understanding, respect, and curiosity for diverse spiritual belief systems. Clairvoyaging is a production of Wayfeather Media.